back to the world of Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. As you can see, I'm here yet again with a pre-processed, pre-produced, got the mix ready. I'm pretty sure I played this stage maybe a week ago, but I'm a busy guy. I don't remember playing this game. That's how busy I am, even though I was playing it earlier. Because I'm that busy that I play the game. That's what's amazing about it. I'm not gonna lie though, I ain't even gonna lie. Today I was very, very busy. Well, I kind of was busy and I kind of wasn't busy. What I mean by that is, first of all, I don't know what happened, but I fucked up yesterday. I made a big mistake. That big mistake being that I actually exercised for the first time in forever. When I say exercise, I mean other than just cardio. I actually lifted weights. And I was doing a decent schedule back in maybe November. And then after Thanksgiving, the interview prep started hitting, the laziness started hitting. I was just like, whatever. When I'm done interviewing, when I get a job, that's when I'll actually do a regular exercise routine. And lo and behold, fucking 3 or 4 months later, I was like, fuck, dude, I got a job now. I gotta build in some exercise time, otherwise I'm never gonna fucking exercise ever. So I was like, you know what, I'll just do light, some cardio, nothing crazy, you know what I mean? It's fucking, where I live, it's on the East Coast, it's fucking 28 fucking degrees out, so already, when I exercise, I go on an area secluded from my family. I live in an apartment, but it's one of those luxury apartments, you know what I mean? You be living in it and you be like, damn, there's that much space? Y'all motherfuckers got a closet? Y'all motherfuckers got an area for a exercise bike? Yeah, I'm living large. I'm living lavish. What's funny is that, just as a quick aside, is that I've lived in this house for a long-ass time. It's technically my grandparents' house, right? And my parents hate this house. My siblings hate this house. They say that it's shit. They hate it. Ironically, we'll never have it because, I don't think I ever mentioned. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this, but this is a super aside, but my parents aren't the same nationality or race, and because of that, I have one side of the family that you can guess the race. You could maybe take a wild guess as what type of devils this race is. Where basically, because one of my parents married into a different race and basically went against the family wishes and married someone they didn't want them to marry. My grandparents basically wrote us out of the will. So there's multiple pieces of property, and when my grandparents passed away, they gave it to my uncle, gave it to my aunt, gave it to all these motherfuckers. And then when it came to our family, my family, they're like, yo, y'all ain't deserving of this property. So they never gave any property to one of my parents, which is kind of fucked up, but whatever. It is what it is. You know what I mean? That's what it is, bro. Sometimes you gotta earn shit. Sometimes you can't just be given shit. You gotta earn that shit. So the reason why I even mention that is to say that I love this fucking house. I literally, it's a small ass, it's pretty much one floor, so it's pretty much an apartment, but I love it, dude. I got my own room. That's all you need. As a fucking real man, all you need is a computer, a fucking internet connection, and 4 walls, and a door to open to go take a shit. That's all. This is all I need. Literally, if I lived in this room for the rest of my life, I would not, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit small, and I could go with an extra 20 feet. If I had 20 more feet in this room, I ain't leaving. I'm telling you, if my room was the size of one of those luxury prison cells in Denmark where fucking A$AP Rocky was staying at, I'd be living life. I'd be chilling right now. But the only reason I mention that is because my family hates this fucking house and they hate being here and it's so small. But I could give a fuck. This shit is, this is God tier, bro. But with that being said, I went into my west wing of my house. I decided to actually do some cardio. And then I did some weights. Holy mother of God, bro. I did some fucking, you know what I did? You know what I fucked up? I actually followed a rubric because I was like, damn, I haven't done anything for so long. I should follow an actual guide. And I ended up, how the fuck did I live? How the fuck am I alive right now? How did this end up working? Did I use a sensu bean or something? What did I do? I had to have used an item. I must have used an item at some point. God damn, my HP low as fuck. But I basically lifted weights, and the one thing that I fucked up with is I did some tricep extensions and shit. Oh my lord almighty, bro. That shit fucking raped my fucking arms. Like, my triceps are still sore. Oh, so today, when I woke up, I was super fucking tired, and I didn't really eat anything yesterday, so with me actually moving, like, my body was in shock. It was like, if you ever seen that Drake and Josh episode where Drake ends up eating healthy and exercising and his body goes into shock and it's like he's fucking dying. That was pretty much my body basically being like, what the fuck is going on? Like, we usually don't do this. What's happening, right? By the way, look at this Goku ceiling mechanic right here. That's pretty good, bro. That's a nice amount of fucking healing right there. I woke up so tired today, and I've been in a bad habit of my new job. I asked and this is what you got to do, bro. If you new to a job, you need to like cuck it up, and you need to fucking ask every question, like no matter how stupid it may seem. I asked my employer before I even started, like a week before I started. I was like, "Is there a dress code? I'll wear a uniform if you want me to. You paying me? I'll dress in a fucking suit if you want me to. What are the times? Is it 9 to 5, 8 to 6, 10 to fucking 12 at midnight? Like, what are the expected times?" And then I asked them, you know, like, fuck. So just some, you know, it's just some, bullshit questions like that. And the thing that I found out is, like, it's pretty much like my last company. They're like, whatever, your start time and end time, they don't really care. It's, like, basically results driven. So for the past, like, 2 or 3 weeks, I've been waking up. I used to wake up at, dude, at my old company, I hated waking up at 9:30 a.m. And the reason why I hated waking up at 9:30 a.m. is because we would have our stand-up at 10:30 a.m., which was like, you know, your stand-up. It's basically where you talk to the team, you make sure everyone's up to speed, blah, blah, blah. And for me, if the stand-up's at 10:30, I might as well wake up at 10. You know what I mean? And you might think to yourself, like, oh, a half hour isn't that big of a deal. Go fuck yourself. That half hour is gold. You need that half hour. So for the past 2 or 3 weeks, I've been kind of rewarding myself with getting a new job by waking up at like 10:30ish. You know what I mean? Today I woke up at 10:15, but mentally, I swear to God, I was so fucking tired. Like, I was up 10:15, but I was so exhausted. Like, I turned into a motherfucker where I started eating for fuel. Like, you know how, like, when you eat food the way you're supposed to eat food, like, you do it for energy? I was eating a protein bar. I was eating shit. I'm like, yo, I need to, like, I felt hungover, really. I felt like I was fucking tired. But with that being said, I really didn't get shit in gear until like 1 p.m., which is really bad because I'm new and I need to like do shit. And what fucked me up even more is that I didn't even really start work until like maybe... No, I started working, like really working at 11 a.m. But, oh my God, dude, I had to read. Dude, reading puts me to sleep. The only thing that'll get me going when I'm reading is if it's some shit I don't agree with. Like, I remember one time I was reading some long-ass paper about how, like, some lady was like, the Supreme Court is full of all white men and that the Supreme Court is shit and it's just white supremacy. I'm like, all right, I'm going to listen to what this bitch is saying. I don't agree with that, so I'm going to keep reading. So today, what I was reading, I was, like, falling asleep. I was really, like, getting tired, so I was like, fuck, I can't do this. And then I looked at my calendar. One thing that sucks about when you join a company for the first time is that you're basically learning all the fucking time and you have, like, a million e-learning bullshit. And I basically clicked it, and it was like some legal shit, and they're like, yeah, this is for all the legal things, and I'm reading it, praying to God I don't have to attend, and they're like, this is required for all new hires. I was like, fuck. So that was an hour, 12 to 1, obliterated, no more time, and then from fucking 1 to 2:30 p.m. was grooming, which is pretty fucking long, honestly, goddamn. And my old company was usually like an hour, maybe an hour and a half. But holy shit, an hour, a fucking hour, no. Was it, oh no, it was 12 to 2:30. The training was from 11 a.m. to 12, and then, oh, fuck me, man, 12 to 2:30, yeah, that shit was rough. So a good 3 hours of my day went to trainings, right? So I was like, fuck, like, I really actually want to get shit done, and it's Wednesday, and everybody knows Wednesday is the real Friday, because once you get to Thursday and Friday, it's just a fucking tailspin to the weekend. So I actually went through and I was setting up my local, which is cancer, and just setting everything. Like, literally my goal for today, one of my biggest goals, was to get my IDE working, the fucking Eclipse, or not Eclipse is garbage, IntelliJ IDE working and running. And all I wanted was to run a unit test. I swear to God, from 3 p.m. till fucking like 9 p.m., like good 6 hours. It took me like 6 fucking hours to get this shit to work. Because what I ended up doing is that, like, it's kind of weird because, like, Amazon doesn't use open source, like, dependency management like Maven. I wish they did. That'd be, like, chill as fuck because that's what everybody uses. But they use, like, an internal tool, which is some crazy fucking, like, I'm not going to even pretend to know how the shit works. But in order to use it with IntelliJ, you have to do something specific. You have to, like, sync dependencies with the internal tool. And what I didn't know is that this thing is, like, almost impossible to do on your, like, local computer. So the way that you usually do development is that you have your computer and you just have your IDE and you just develop. That's it. Not this shit. Because in order to sync dependencies, it literally took, like, I put it to sync and then I went to go read. I read for an hour. And then I came back thinking, like I basically put the IDE in and minimized it and was like, all right, I'm going to come back. It's going to be done. I'm going to be Gucci. And I'm thinking I'm a big brain for multitasking. I'm like, yo, I'm not only fucking reading, but I'm also syncing in the background. Like, I'm a genius. I'm thinking, like, at the most, it's going to be a half hour at the most. That shit was still fucking going after an hour. So I was like, fuck. They give you something called a cloud space for development. It's basically a Linux instance. And I have no problem with Linux, but Linux has no GUI, like, in this sense. And it's an SSH area, basically. So it's like, fuck, like, how the fuck am I going to run IntelliJ? Dude, I don't know who wrote these tutorials, but these sickos, like, and I did this, by the way. I did do this last week. I had to make a change. They suggest you use Vim or Emacs for development. I read that. I said, are you fucking kidding me? So if you don't know, if you don't understand, 9 times out of 10 you want to use an actual IDE. An IDE is a let me think, fuck, what does this shit stand for? Oh my god, fuck. Independent developer environment? Intelligent developer environment? Okay, Google. What does IDE stand for?
Integrated Development Environment.
Okay, stop.
On the website
redhat.com, shut up.
they say,
okay, Google. Shut up. Oh, shit, my bad. I meant to say Alexa, my bad. I have an Alexa, by the way. Anyone at Amazon listening, please, I don't support Google at all, unless they call me back after the interview. But, basically, what ended up happening is that they were recommending using Vim or Emacs, which is just text editor. Dude, if you write Java in a text editor, like, you could do it. I've done it, and I did do it, but it is like crazy cancer. Like, you're basically now doing something without a compiler. You're now doing something where you can't just run it from the IDE. You need to run it, like, from the command line. It was crazy cancer. Like, it was scary, bro. Like, it was scary hours, right? But last week I did end up having to do that because there was a small change that they wanted me to make, and I did make it. It actually deployed all the way to production, which was pretty cool, but scary at the same time, because what was hilarious is that I, like, did the most fucking retard mistake ever, where it was a one-line change that I was making, pretty much, and I committed it, and I forgot to look at it. I gotta look at it. That's something you gotta look. Like, when you commit code, make sure you like, read what you did and make sure you're not missing anything. Because what ended up happening is I pushed it, and when I pushed it, I realized that there was, like, 4 or 5 spaces after one character, and I was like, oh my god, am I retarded? Like, what the fuck is this shit? So there's that, which is whatever. I don't think that really matters that much. I know some people on my favorite website, blind, aka anxiety.com, they're like, I was actually put on a development plan at Amazon because I did more than one commit. And they said because I did 3 commits, it's higher than the average, and that I basically got fired for that. And I just read shit like that, and I go, I hope that's not true. I hope that's not true, because Lord knows I'm gonna need not 4, but I could see 3. I could see 3. You know what I mean? Especially if you're a new hire. But I'll just have to read it and go over it again. Kind of a dummy thing. But yeah, today I was pretty busy. I spent a lot of time just fucking getting that goddamn cocksucking IDE to work. And by the way, if that doesn't tell you, like, how fast-paced Amazon is, and by the way, I kind of like that because that's what I was looking for, because I have experience and I kind of don't give a shit. But think about it like this. Imagine you're a new grad. I pushed something to production before my local environment was set up. You understand what I'm saying? Like, how did I even do that? That's a good question. How did I do that? It's called emacs, which is pure cancer, but it was literally a one-line change, and I was able to build it, like, you can build it with the command line. Like, if you ever use Maven, you could do Maven clean verify. You're not going to use the IDE, but you're going to use Maven, and then you'll know that a test passes, but it's like brain dead, like, development. Like, if I actually had to do that, and that was the only way, cancer, pure cancer. Like, literal, like, I need chemotherapy, this is fucking terrible type of shit, right? But I basically have been learning a lot. I definitely think I need to, because I'm new and because I do need to, quote unquote, like, prove myself, I definitely need to become, like, king of all cucks, because I went to my, like, for example, my one-on-one this week, I forgot that I had a one-on-one, and usually you'll think of, like, some questions. You gotta ask your manager questions. If you don't ask your manager questions, then they're gonna ask you questions. And you don't want them asking you questions, because then you're gonna actually have to think. But Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday, one or the other, I had my one-on-one with my manager, and I was like, fuck, I was like, I really don't have anything to ask, because at that point I was just doing e-learnings and shit, and I wasn't really focusing on team stuff. That's another thing, like, it's like you're balancing all the new information about the company and then all the new information about your team. I think next week I'll have some more questions, but basically I went in the meeting, and he's like, what do you plan on doing this week? And I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm thinking of basically doing some e-learnings, as well as today I'm going to try to look at the IDE and try to get it up and running. And that's what I was planning on doing Tuesday, but ended up having Wednesday. And he's like, yeah, that's really good, but, you should really think about goals in terms of the week, and, you should think of things in a week setting, and if you can think about it in a month setting, blah, blah, blah. So he was just giving advice, but at the same time, he was kind of low-key like, yo, you should have some fucking questions, dickhead. And I'm like, oh my God, or at least have some structure. Because basically what I have is, like, I have 3 months worth of, like, onboarding documents. So, like, for me, in my head, I was thinking, like, oh, why am I going to even, like, even say, like, what I'm planning on doing this week? Like, there's a bunch of shit to do. Like, there's more to do this week than anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's like if you had a fucking full plate of, like, turkey, fucking, mashed potatoes and everything else, and then you fucking took a bowl full, and they're like, well, what else are you going to eat? It's like, yo, there's a whole fucking turkey here. There's a lot to eat. But I definitely think it's good to be explicit, and I probably, for my next one-on-one, I'll probably drain the shit out of it and be like, because I read some shit that was getting me a little bit, like, a little shook. I ain't even gonna lie to you, because there's, like, these documents that Amazon has for, like, yearly goals and shit, and, like, things that your team is trying to do. And I was reading it, and I was like, oh, I was getting anxiety to a degree, but I was reading it, and I was like, oh, this is the one line I'm gonna ask him about. This is one thing I've noticed so far, and it's gonna be like, two things are gonna happen. One, I'm gonna get drained, or two, the company's gonna get drained. Because Amazon has one of its leadership principles is called frugality, which is basically being cheap. Which, by the way, I have no problem with. I actually kind of don't mind that much. But goddamn, do they live by it? They're like, yo, if you're not using a website, shut that shit down. If you're not using that, shut that shit down. When you go to make a website, like to use it for testing, they're like, yo, this costs $32 a day. If you don't shut this shit off, you're costing the company $32 a day. So they're telling you to every fucking turn, like, stop being a wasteful piece of shit and make sure you delete this. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, like I'll subscribe to that. I'm sorry, please. But one thing that I noticed is that they don't really have a great data, like, how do I word this? Basically, they have a sandbox environment, a staging environment, and then a production environment. But they have more shit in production than they do in staging, as well as in sandbox, which is a little weird. So, like, for some of their applications, they're live and being used in production, but they're not in beta or sandbox or staging, which basically means that you have to copy shit from production or move some stuff over. And that was weird to me, because, like, that's one thing I liked in my old company, is that everything, like, you built it incrementally. Everything is in sandbox, pass. You now build towards the next environment, pass. You now build to the next environment, pass. But with this, it's very weird, where it's like everything's in production. And, like, for example, they told me, hey, can you get this shit working? Do this, that, and the third. And then ended up not working, and I figured it out. That's another thing. I'm talking, like, if you're new, like you're going to Amazon as a new hire, I feel like it'll be really rough, because even for me, like, so far this has been one of the best and worst onboarding experiences. Best because the technology is very cool, it's very interesting, the people are very nice, but it's also the worst because it's virtual. That sucks. Like, no matter what, that's going to suck. It's kind of hard to figure out what questions to ask, because, like, the way things are organized, like, they don't organize it super well. Like, for example, I had to like fucking do a boot camp that taught you how to like, commit code, set up your local, all that type of shit. But I did that 4 days after I had to actually commit code and update shit and push it to production. So like, it's kind of like hard. Like you kind of got to figure out what you need to know before you need to know it. That type of thing, which a lot of people do say about Amazon. They're like, it's very sink or swim. It's not like other companies. Like Facebook is pretty fast paced. People say Google has like a very good onboarding program where like they don't even expect anything from you for like the first 6 months. Whereas with Amazon, I have a feel. Well, they already expected some things from me, but I think that they're going to expect more within like either if not a month, 2 months. Like that's like 3 months absolute maximum. Because so far this week I've been doing a lot of setting up my local, testing some stuff out, reading a bunch of shit, and e-learnings. I haven't really contributed to the sprint at all, which is normal. I mean, I'm literally onboarding, but at the same time, Amazon's pretty fast-paced, and like I don't want to get left behind and like, just feel comfortable and be like, oh wow, for these 3 months I'm just doing nothing, and because it's not a on and off thing. Like I would much rather like get some work a month in, stumble, you know what I mean? It's like, all right, this guy's only been here a month, but imagine if you, for 3 months, all you did was e-learnings, all you did was like studying, and then you finally got your first task, and it's some shit you didn't cover yet, some stuff you didn't see, and they're like, damn, it's been 3 months, like what happened? Like we literally left you on the bench, now we bringing you in the fourth quarter trying to get these buckets, and you're fucking fumbling the ball. So it has, pros and cons, but at the same time, I've been at this company for 15 days, I've already pushed something to production, I'm learning, I'm setting up my local, and I know enough to know that like there's definitely some pain points that are going to be coming in terms of testing, because like I was mentioning, they have that document for information of the team, the goals of the year, etc., and 2 things that stood out to me. One is that there's like some machine learning portion and some machine learning information where like they basically wanted to essentially figure out how to do some like testing operations, but they didn't have anything in the lower environment. They only had it in production, so it was like either you did it or you didn't. Like you either do it or you don't. Like you're putting it for customers to interact with, or you're not. And I was like, what the fuck? Like why would, like I don't understand. Like how the fuck is that even possible? Like apparently I don't understand it. That is one question I'm probably gonna bring up to my manager and be like, all right, I'm trying to understand this. Like how's that even possible? Like, how do you not have these lower environments provisioned to mirror production or close to it, especially when it comes to that data portion? And then another thing I read that I was reading, I was like, oh my god, like I started feeling sick. I was like, because I felt it. I was like, yo, this is some like this is some shit. Like if I was at Amazon when this happened, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. They said in the document, they're like, yeah, we had to do some like changes for some reason that came out of nowhere. We had to do it. It was from external parties, blah, blah, blah. We made the change. We did it. And at that point in time, we basically had a week to meet a deadline. And we tried to meet that deadline. Instead of extending it, instead of being like, yo, this is crazy, you know what I mean? They were like, okay, let's try to meet this deadline. And then what ended up happening is that in trying to meet that deadline, they had to have been in a rush. There's no way this would have happened unless it was in a rush or it was like poor testing, which is possible. But they basically made a bunch of query changes. I don't know what the query changes are. I'll probably ask about that. It could be Elasticsearch, it could be a database. I don't know. And they forgot to normalize the queries. And what I mean by that is they forgot to like make all input lowercase. And that ended up fucking setting them back like I think 4 or 5 weeks worth of data before they realized it, etc., etc. And I was just reading that, and I was like, that is so, like, obviously, like, you were in a rush to do something, you had fucking pedal to the metal, and because of that, you skipped over that testing, or because of that, you didn't have enough time to test. You know what I mean? Like, shit like that. Like, that's cancerous, because me, personally, I'm at the point in time where I'm talking a lot of shit. I've been here 15 days. Things can change. I could be the guy who's like, fuck it, I need to get this deliverable done. I'm not going to test this. I personally, I wouldn't do that. Like, I would rather them be like, how come this isn't ready, than for them to be like, okay, this is ready, but it has these bugs. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That might not be the right thing for like the Amazon ideology, because Amazon says repeatedly, they're like, yeah, we want fast decisions. We can always revert. We can always undo. Blah 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 blah. Which is true in some cases. But I don't know how much, like, I've only been here 15 days. Like, this could be a complete exaggeration on my part. But if it's something where they're like, yeah, whatever, like we don't need to test that much because we can always revert it, I wouldn't like that. I would think it'd be better if you took more time to test something to make sure it's working properly, as opposed to just pushing some shit out there, hoping you meet a deadline and then seeing it work. Especially for something like that where if you had more time, like realistically, if that week had extended to 2 weeks even, they probably could have finished it in 1 week, and then after that 1 week had that week, whether it be manual or automated, to test those queries, and then it'd be like, oh, whoa, this isn't exactly what we're expecting, change it, and then that's it. You know what I mean? Like, I read that, and I was like, holy shit, like, that's crazy, man. That is like some, like, really fucking, like, small detail that's really important. But at the end of the day, it's ironic because I left my old company feeling so happy and so good because I left when they were in the middle of a migration. I actually helped a lot with the migration. We were migrating from one deployment model to another deployment model for the infrastructure, and I was so happy because like it was draining my will to live. Because this isn't the first time we did a migration. In the past, we did a different migration. It took so much time. The business hates the fact that it takes time because they're like, oh, what the fuck? This is like easy peasy. Like all it is you're literally changing everything, and it's not going to add any customer value because customers aren't going to see it, but it's actually going to deploy better, blah, 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 blah. So when I was leaving my old company, I was like, oh my God, it felt so good to hit the dips. Like, I was like, oh my God almighty, like, insanely good. Like, I did work, I contributed, but I didn't do everything. Like, there's more shit ahead, and it just felt so good to hit the dips. But lo and behold, I came to Amazon, and, like, the first thing I see, they're like, yeah, we're doing a migration. We're going from version 1 to version 2, and I'm like literally same exact thing at my old company. Migration from version 1 to version 2, doing this, doing that. And whenever that happens, like that's kind of like not the worst thing to come in on onboarding, but when you're doing a migration, it basically would behoove you to know more about the internal information, to know more about the system at large, etc., etc. So I actually was able to contribute and help, surprisingly. But it definitely isn't like net new development right now. It's a lot of testing. It's a lot of deploying, which I might learn more about. It might be good, but at the same time, it's something that I think that I'd rather not come in on a migration personally, just because I think it would have been a little bit easier to just go along with the creation of the structure. But it is what it is. Either way. I think that no matter what, I think as time goes on, as I work with these people more, as I get a little bit more comfortable, I think I'll be less afraid of getting fired, whether that becomes a reality or not. It's whatever, like, it's not that big of a deal. Even if I did get fired, like, it's not good, but at the same time, like, if I don't like fit in with Amazon, like, maybe the way that I do my work just doesn't fit in with the model. Maybe that's a reality. And maybe I'm just like being too positive because maybe I should be more like, oh my God, the economy is still fucked. Oh my God, I better like do whatever they want me to do in order to not get fired. But I really am approaching this from the perspective of like, I'm trying to do my best. I want to do my best. I'm going to try to follow the standards as much as possible. But if push comes to shove, I'm not going to like deploy something that isn't finished. I'm not going to be quiet and say, yeah, this definitely works, it should work. There's no such thing as should. It either does or it doesn't. Like, no way in hell are you ever making software. You could be making a software that takes two numbers, adds them, and then returns a sum, and you could think, I deployed this, it should work. You'd be surprised what the fuck can go wrong. Like, the numbers might be too big. Oh my God, there's an overflow. Oh, what if both numbers are negative? Oh, what if I add letters instead of numbers? It bricks the system. Like, you never know what can go wrong until you test it. That's why you need good unit tests, good integration tests, and even tests in AWS, which was kind of cool. It was kind of cool to see that Amazon did have that. They do have tests that are like in the AWS environment, because that's something at my old company we really didn't start using until like maybe, I don't know, maybe a year and a half into the role. I was like one of the first people to do that, and it's really useful because it basically allows you to see all the different operations, just to make sure that the application's working the way it's supposed to work in the environment, which is good because you'll make sure that it's configured properly, you'll make sure that it's testing properly. And I think that in general, like, even if you spend like an extra week on a product, like, it's going to be better. Like, it's going to be more polished, it's going to be better. But, you know, it is what it is. One thing I will say is that as I've worked at Amazon, there are some things that they have from a company standpoint that I kind of don't like. And that would be I don't know, maybe I'll feel different in the future, but for like every day that you sign into your computer, like there's an automated message that asks you a question that gets reported to your manager. So it can ask you a question of like, hey, how do you feel about your onboarding? Do you have all the information you have? And it's like, if I want to talk to my manager, I'll talk to my manager. I don't like this system that is probably going to be reviewed by my manager and someone else. And if I say, oh, I don't want to answer, it's going to look foofy or whatever. It's like, I don't know. I just kind of don't like that yet. I don't know. It's new. It's something different. Maybe eventually I'll like it. Maybe eventually I'll understand it more. But right now it's just kind of like I sign in, I see it, and I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm like, what is this reminder? But in general, it's pretty good. But I'll tell you right now, I have been in Amazon technically for 15 business days, right? Tomorrow is going to be the 19th, aka Friday, and that will be my 15th day. And because of where I work and the liberals that run that beautiful area, it's mandatory. It's legally imposed that Amazon has to pay you twice a month. Like if it wasn't legally, they would pay you once a month because that's what they do for like everyone else, like in Seattle and shit. So Friday, payday, yo, I'm hoping if I see that check and if that check is equal to or close to the price of my full month pay at my last company, I might just nut. I might just see it hit the bank account and just go, oh, like just fall backwards into bliss and be like, oh my God, this is amazing. By the way, me saying I'm a just nut just reminded me that I watched an hour and a half small documentary. I say the word small almost ironically because it was an hour and a half, but compared to the knowledge that was given in this documentary or video was like tremendous. Was a long ass video about Evangelion. I never watched the anime. I knew about it. I've seen it a couple times, but I never really got it. And it was an hour and a half video about how Evangelion is a masterpiece and it's amazing. So I started watching it. And this is another bad thing because I'm working from home. I just be staying up too late. So I started watching it at like 1:30 in the morning the other day. And I was like, damn, all right, I'll watch a little bit of this, you know what I mean, see what happens. Watch the whole thing. And I ended up getting sucked in. And there's actually a part in that video, it's in the anime, but it was like, what? I was so like taken aback at how creepy it was there's this guy, his name is Shinji, right? This guy's king of all creeps. Like when I say king of all creeps, I mean like on some, like he makes the Joker look like a nice guy. So he's super creepy, and he ends up going to this girl's, she's in the hospital, she's in a coma. Her name is Asuka, right? And she's in the bed in a coma, and he's just like a narcissist. He's like looking for someone to talk to, blah, blah, blah. He's like, you know, having like an incel moment where he's shaking her, and he's like, oh, what the fuck? Like, just talk to me. And he rolls her over, and in the hospital bed, this is so creepy. Whoever wrote this anime, like, put him on a fucking terrorist watch list. He rolls her over, and in her coma hospital bed, she rolls over, and this is an anime, so you know what's going to happen next. Her t-shirt opens, and her bare chest is exposed. And this creepy fucking incel sicko sees that and sees it as an opportunity to fucking bust a nut. Dude, I watched that on the YouTube video and I was disgusted. I was like, dude, that is like beyond creepy. Like the fact that someone had to animate that, the fact that someone directed that, the fact that someone came up with that is creepy in it by itself. But then me seeing that, I was like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck did I... And then he keeps talking like, yeah, he just did this horrible act, and Shinji goes on to say that he hates the world and hates everyone, and I'm like, whoa. What? Like, what? What did I just watch? So after I watched that, I stayed up probably another hour just staring at the wall, thinking to myself, like, damn, did I really just, like, watch a fucking hour and a half documentary about some anime from the 90s? I did. It was pretty good. But, all in all, some takeaways. I'm a new employee. I'm trying to get my grind up, trying to get my score up, trying to prove myself, trying to learn, trying to basically convince myself this is a good job and I don't have to leave. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to try to study on the low. I'm still going to try to be a sicko all day, every day. And hopefully the economy gets better, bro. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. I did not get a stimulus check because apparently I'm too rich now. I'm too fucking bougie. I can't get the motherfucking stimulus. That's fine. But what made me upset is the fact that one of my friends, who has been selling PS5s for cash and has more money than me right now, got the stimulus, and that's making me salty. So I'm going to tell you something right now, Joe Biden. You cannot give me the stimulus. That's fine. But this time next year, if the economy is still fucked and I'm having trouble finding a new job because I get fired from Amazon for staying up all night watching Evangelion, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump Jr. Donald Trump probably going to get impeached probably at some point. Well, no, actually, that's impossible. Either way, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump and Donald Trump Jr. because obviously they know how to make the economy great. I mean, the nation as a whole might collapse, but at least I'll get a job.